Welcome to our webinar. We're covering digital marketing trends from 2024 and beyond. And, I'll just go on to the next slide just to show you what we're going to be covering today. You move to the next slide? Okay. So first, our today's agenda is going to cover a little bit about us. We're going to talk about digital marketing that we're working on and the emerging trends in 2024 and summarize everything, and then we can go through questions at the end. So going on to the next slide, our panel today is myself, Deborah Cockrell. I'm the founder and managing partner of Sciad, and Taryn.
Hi everyone, I'm Taryn Wensley. I'm the digital manager at Sciad Communications.
And hello, I'm Paula Burton and I'm project director at Sciad. Back to Debs.
Okay. All right. So if we go on to the next slide, it's an animation which shows you how the kind of work and organizations we work with. We work with companies that have a vision to shape the future, and those working in innovation, especially in biotech. And the people we work with cover areas including engineering, biotech, science, and innovation. So our track record in biotech, science and healthcare, we've worked on over 100 branding projects. We've worked on over 50 websites designed and built by us, over 10,000 digital marketing campaigns, and we've supported over 100 scientific conferences. So on our next slide just shows you the range of different companies we've worked for. So we worked for huge companies in engineering such as Watson Marlow and large publishers and big life science companies such as Rousselot, right the way through to the biotechs that are emerging as well. We also work with Imperial and groups such as the British Heart Foundation. So you can see we've got a wide range of companies, companies such as Domainx that provide services for the pharmaceutical and biotech industry. So we found, in our research ourselves, but also this is a quote from HubSpot, that 65% of businesses in 2023 said that generating traffic and leads was their biggest challenge. So what we've put together today is, on to the next slide. We're covering today the 5 key trends that we've seen within the world of digital marketing, and Taryn and Paula are going to take you through those trends. So I'll pass you to Taryn.
Right. So taking you through the first trend, which is keeping your customer at the center of your communications. If you can go to the next slide for me, please. So think about the communications that you receive from other businesses. Do you tend to open and read generic emailers that are sent to you, or do you skip straight over them? With the rise in AI, communications are starting to feel more and more impersonal. So if you can keep personalization at the heart of your communication strategy, be it in your email marketing campaign, advertising campaigns, or blog posts, you'll find better results. Personalization is key, and 87% of customers expect to receive communications that are personalized to their wants and needs, and preferably even addressed to them directly. So if you start to think outside the box, your business will start to take the lead in a competitive landscape. Next slide, please. So it's important to think about how you can keep your customer at the heart of everything you do, from how you sell to them to how you service your customers once you have them on board. And doing this requires a new mindset. So we can't just think of the sales cycle as linear anymore, where we push users down a funnel towards an end goal. But the sales cycle now requires multiple touch points across multiple platforms and devices in order to nurture and to nurture your potential leads into becoming a customer, or more importantly, a returning customer or brand ambassador. So typically, a user needs around 7 touch points with your brand before they decide to become a customer or make a purchase with you. And brands who fully understand their customers and regularly communicate authentic and educational materials will help to keep their leads engaged and re-engage existing customers. So how do we do this? Next slide, please. So finding customers for your business is not easy. And once you find them, then comes another challenge. So establishing and maintaining strong relationships with them. CRM software helps you to centralize, optimize, and streamline your communication. And the better you know your customer, the stronger your relationships will be with them. A good CRM database can help you to better understand your customer, anticipate their needs, and easily segment your customers for speedier, more personalized communication to increase retention. These are some of the CRM systems that we recommend using. Moving on to the second trend that we see, we need to keep one step ahead. So marketing tactics are ever evolving. We need to stay ahead of our competition. So digital world is constantly evolving, and there's so many new ways of getting your brand in front of your ideal customer. It's important to use these new methods to stay one step ahead of your competitors and to keep your brand top of mind. When it comes to delivering your content to potential and existing customers, we can do so using your paid, owned, and earned media.
Could you just skip to the next slide, please? Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. Combining the use of all of these channels allows us to increase reach by driving paid and organic traffic to your website, where users can discover your brand content, showcasing reasons to believe in your business, and you can demonstrate your thought leadership and own your field or discipline. This helps to produce quality leads and drive measurable results. Next slide, please. Thank you. So you need to use all the tools you have in your marketing toolbox. As users are bombarded with more and more different types of marketing, how do you make your brand stand out from the rest? Businesses are increasingly focused on attracting customers through valuable content and experiences. So take advantage of emerging marketing tactics such as visual and verbal communication, for example, podcasts and video content that can help to quickly communicate relatively complex information before users lose interest due to our dwindling attention spans. So don't be afraid to blend tactics or repurpose content to make the most mileage out of one piece. For example, a blog post could be repurposed into a video or animation, and then into an infographic for an organic social post, and a short form video for a digital ad. Thinking outside the box helps you to make the most of the content you have without having to be a permanent content creator. So,
Next slide, please.
Thank you. One size doesn't fit all. So when choosing the platforms that you want to communicate on, it's important to consider different factors. Who is my target audience? What platforms are they most active on? And are they in the correct mindset to connect with my brand when using this platform? Another important factor to consider is your objective. What is most important for my business right now? Is it brand awareness? Is it lead generation? Or is it both? Different platforms will help you in different ways, and it's important to remember that one size doesn't fit all. On a side note, on the slide, our designer wanted to point out, and Paula will be talking about AI later, but this image was actually generated using AI, and so we can use it as a tool to help us. Next slide, please. Right, so the digital marketing funnel. This is the traditional funnel as most know it. So if your objective is to use digital marketing to raise brand awareness or to generate more leads, it's important to choose the right platform that will bring you the best return on investment. But with so many platforms out there, which ones do you choose? In our experience working with businesses across the life sciences, we've found that these platforms tend to be the most effective for B2B advertising. There are many other platforms out there, but targeting options can be more limited when it comes to targeting business professionals, and users might not be in the correct mindset when they see your ads and may not take the desired action. For example, if you're browsing Instagram and you see if you're browsing Instagram and you see an advert for a business service, you may not be as inclined to click on the ad as if you were on LinkedIn, for example, where users are in more of a business mindset. That's not to say that the other platforms don't have their merits, but they need to be considered carefully. It's also important to consider which stage of the funnel a user is at. Do they already know about your business, or are they learning about your brand for the first time? This will help you to ensure that you communicate the right message at the right time to the right users and to capture demand and take action. Just looking at the funnel quickly, for those who might not be aware, this is the traditional digital marketing funnel as we used to know it, but it still helps you to use it as a thought process when you're creating your content. So we start at the top of the funnel where people are learning about your brand for the first time, and we start to drive traffic down the funnel, feed them with more information where they discover your brand, they start to consider using you, and then convert and fill in your form if that's the action, or purchase your product. So moving on to the next. So these are different types of ads that are available to you if you wanted to choose to do some digital advertising. I'll take you through the different platforms, and each one has its specific role. So these are Google PPC ads, and there are a lot of different types of ads, but these are the ones that we find are most successful. You've got your search ads, which are based on keywords that people search for in Google. You have your display ads that actively show to users across Google's display network. And you have your performance max ads that are AI driven. So you provide them with your picture of the ideal customer, and it will push your ads out across all of Google's platforms. Next. So Microsoft ads. Microsoft ads are very similar to Google ads. There as well, there's other options available, but the search ads and the display ads are really useful. Microsoft differs a little bit to Google, where there's a smaller audience, but we find the audience demographic tends to be a little bit older, they're more educated, and they have a higher purchasing power. So we find in the science community, these are really popular ads. Moving on to LinkedIn. As we know, LinkedIn is a platform for business, and there are different types of ads that we can choose to run on LinkedIn. Single image ads, those are just the nice pictures that you see in your feed. We also have video ads that are more engaging. We have a document ad type that Paul is going to run through a little bit later. And we have carousel ads that help to showcase different products or services. Next. And don't forget about Facebook and Instagram. Although it's a consumer-based platform, it definitely has its place. So there's different types of ads that we can run, video ads and image ads, and that is all done through the Meta platform. Passing on to Paula.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, creative content creation. This is our third tip, something that we think is really important now and will be for the future. And that it all helps with SEO and lead generation. So next slide, Taryn touched on AI. I'm sure quite a few of you saw the news yesterday. OpenAI has announced that ChatGPT can now see, hear, and speak. So it now teaches maths and it flirts, but it does have its glitches. That's where we are now. And our take on AI, certainly at the present time, if we move on to the next slide, is that use AI, you should use AI to your advantage. Use it as your digital assistant. Technology today exists to do anything you want in terms of reach. So really do use it as your digital assistant. It simply can't do the high-level reasoning. It doesn't have the emotional intelligence. It can't do the critical thinking that are unique to us humans. So what AI is doing, it's taking information from the past and it's rewriting it for the present and restructuring it. But it isn't actually creating new information about what's happening now or what's likely to happen in the future. Your audience, particularly a scientific, technically trained audience, really values authenticity and perspective and looks to the future. And what we see working with our clients at Sciad is that it's written and visual content. Can you hear me? Yeah. It's written in visual content that's ranking on the internet, and that's created by humans. It's very obvious to us when we see a social post that's just been created by AI. It just doesn't have that same look and feel. It can help you become more efficient, but it won't have the big idea. And moving on to the next slide, I just wanted to make the point that as science marketeers, we can be creative and stand out from the crowd. We really should. And you've got a couple of posts here, actually from our own Sciad LinkedIn page. The one on the right showing the team having fun doing sport in the office, and on the left-hand side, obviously at a One Nucleus summer party, because we really like a One Nucleus summer party. So original, timely content with smiles is going to get a much bigger response from your audience. If you're opening a new building, you've got a fantastic new site and building, show the picture of the people in the building looking happy. Don't just show pictures of the building. It's going to go down much better if you show a smile or two, and possibly an emoji. Science focused, of course. So right, if we move on to the next slide, when thinking about the sort of content that you might want to create, think about what's worked in the past for you. We all know that human attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. It's really important that you make every bit of content count. Don't use too many words. Think about the look and feel of your content, and I'm going to move on to talk about some tactics there and things that you can do to make it look great as well as sound great. And as I just said, use AI to do the groundwork. So the first example of content I wanted to show you is white papers. These may be things you're familiar with. In case you're not, they're thought leadership pieces. And what you see here is an example of a white paper that we recently created for the scientific publisher Wiley. White papers are really good at helping to position you as a thought leader, somebody who owns a particular topic or theme. And obviously it's a really great way of nurturing leads. So a white paper, going back to the funnel that Taryn presented, it'll help you to capture your audience and start pushing them down the sales funnel. You can nurture your leads. Think outside of the box. What can you position yourself as a thought leader on? If you've got statistics, if you can get some data from your client base, there's pretty much an open book, opportunities to get yourself out there and publish. So moving on to the next slide, what you see here are something called LinkedIn document ads. And again, this is something that we've been producing for our clients quite recently. Here we have the RSA who wanted to talk about the benefits of the life science sector in Switzerland. And the way that this works is that you publish a document, And that is made available to users directly through their LinkedIn profile, whether that's a personal profile or a corporate profile. In order to access the document, you have to fill in a quick form, and then the document is made available to you. So it's using a platform that a lot of people are familiar with. It makes the process of accessing information, such as a document, very easy, very straightforward. You're much less likely to lose people than you are if you're simply posting something on your website and asking them to fill in a form. So it's very streamlined, it's flexible, and this sort of activity enables you to collect quality leads. You can measure your audience's interest in your content, and you can build awareness and nurture your audience over time. Once they've started to develop an interest in you, they'll be looking out for future content. And moving on to the next slide, which is webinars. Now, here we are today sitting on a webinar. They're a really good opportunity to tell people about who you are, what you do, the opportunity to include case studies about some of the work you've done in the past. And recently we worked with one of our clients, Watson Marlow, an engineering company, and set up a webinar which was hosted on Biofarm International, which attracted a large audience. And I think that Watson Marlow felt really helped them in getting their message across to prospective customers. So 3 examples there of content marketing. If we go on to the next slide, just wanted to sort of reinforce what Taryn said about lead generation and important leads. If you're running PPC ads, so pay-per-click ads, it's important to have a conversion-based bidding strategy. Now, what does that mean? It means that AI tries to generate the maximum number of conversions for the budget that you have. So that's something to think about. The second point is you need to have really strong calls to action when you're placing ads, or if you have something running on your website, make sure that they're strategically placed and people can know where to press to get to the next stage. If you have a form on your website, you need to think about the content hierarchy. What information are you asking people to give you? Keep it as simple as possible, but make sure you capture the relevant and correct information that you need. And make sure that anything that you produce has a strong design element with those clear calls to action. And last but not least, CRM. Taryn spoke about the need for a really good customer relationship management system. If we could skip the next slide and go to the 4th tactic, podcasts and videos. So we are finding increasingly that the visual media is a really good, successful way of communicating messages, especially when it comes to science, because quite often we're trying to communicate complex scientific terms, and the visual medium really lends itself to that. So if you look at the next slide, source for this is HubSpot. But last year, almost a third of marketeers created a video for the first time, and 25% created a blog or podcast for the first time. I think those are really interesting statistics. At Sciad, we've certainly been writing blogs for quite some time, and you might have been doing the same. If we go on to the next slide, our recommendation is actually, we're not saying stop producing blogs, but think about podcasts, because it offers you a really simple visual medium, a more personal experience. And we've already said that that's what people are looking for, personalization. The human voice always connects with your audience. There's also the fact that the podcast industry is a little less competitive than blogging because it hasn't been around as long. So if you've got the confidence to start doing it now, you're likely to get a decent share of voice. It enables you to develop your public speaking skills, to put yourself out there, and to showcase your brand. And also there's a low cost of entry. We're actually, some colleagues at Sciad are at Biointegrates today, a conference, and we have a camera, we have a decent microphone and a tripod, and a member of staff asking questions of delegates and capturing some feedback and content. It's really easy to do, and it can be quite effective because it gives you material for social media posts and marketing messaging. And finally, a lot of people are listening to podcasts. It's not just young people, it's not just older people. Over half of 35 to 54-year-olds are listening to podcasts. So this slide is about videos, and film and animation is another really effective, impactful way of getting your message across. We've been working with the Royal Society of Chemistry, just going into our 4th year of producing a series of films and animations which promote the fantastic science that's going on and the scientists that are winning awards for their groundbreaking science. And we gift these films that we produce to winners of the Royal Society of Chemistry's Horizon Prize Award. And they make the most of the films. They can be used for public engagement purposes, for lead generation, and they can also be cut into short segments so that can be used across social media. So video is also really, really popular. And then our final 5th point, our final tip, we couldn't really talk about digital marketing without talking about your global audience, because obviously digital marketing enables you to reach very many hundreds of thousands and more people right across the world. It's easier to expand in today's digital world. And on the next slide, just really making the point that the digital environment enables you to access a larger customer base, obviously leading to potential revenue and growth potential. The first step, if you're even beginning to think about this, is to look at the traffic, look at your website, look at the traffic and the data that you've got to see who's visiting your site, what they're interested in. And that could provide a useful steer as to which markets you might think of entering. And so my penultimate slide, really some points here. If you're thinking about going global, developing a global SEO and content strategy, think about your audience first and foremost. You need to understand their culture and behavior because it's going to be different to yours. You need to know what they're searching for, which keywords they're using. And I think the point about, yes, English is a universally spoken language, but we see with some of our clients that if they're entering a new market, they do like to have some form of communication in that native language. It could just be a web page that's almost like an online brochure, but it really shows that you've thought about it. You might also need to think about having someone on the ground longer term. And you just need to make sure that Google or whichever search engine you're using registers foreign language pages. That's important. Okay, so to finish up, we've spoken about 5 key trends in digital marketing. The importance of putting your customer at the center, keeping your tactics up to date, always thinking creatively about the content that you're generating, because that will help with lead generation. And considering multimedia company, our advice would be to consider podcasts and videos. And our final point, always think local, but act global, if that's the direction of travel. So thank you very much.